We like to begin with a story, with a legend, and then that'll relate in some way to the teaching that we'll give after the story. So, Ikawaka Hiko, Mamualoa o Kapena Kuke. Once upon a time, long before Captain Cook, there were two girls on the island of Hawaii, and they were preparing breadfruit for a meal by themselves. Now, if you haven't lived in Hawaii or don't live in Hawaii or are not familiar with the South Pacific, you may not know what breadfruit is. Breadfruit is one of the most important food trees. Used to be far more important here in Hawaii, but still important in other places of the South Pacific. It's a tree that grows a fruit that looks like a green bowling ball, about, on some of them, the same size. So that it grows to the point where it can be about 10 pounds, 4.5 kilos. And inside, that's almost entirely starch. And what they do, like the girls are doing here in the story, most of the time it's roasted. It could be put in an earth oven, but sometimes they're too hungry for that. That's what these girls are doing, so they roast it in a fire. And then after it's roasted, what we might call the meat inside, the bread, turns a golden brown, and it tastes something like sweet potato. And it also, if you bake it right, you can make a very delicious yellow buttery poi, okay, which was one of the favorites of old Hawaii. So the girls are cooking their breadfruit. And one of the girls, her name is Ao'a, she's really hungry. In fact, she says, "Oh, wait, no, boy, am I hungry." Right? And she's just waiting for that and got all of her attention on that breadfruit, which is almost ready. The other girl, her name is Lilo Lilo. And she suddenly notices down the hill, there's a trail down the hill, passes by them and goes uphill. She notices an old woman down there. And she says, "Oh, that woman, she looks like she's lame. Maybe I should go help her." And Ao'a says, "Oh, don't bother with her." She says, "We've got this breadfruit to eat. And so let's just get that done. Besides, she'll probably take the lower trail anyway." So when Lilo Lilo looked back down, she didn't see the woman, so she assumed that she took the lower trails. Okay. So they pulled out the breadfruit with a stick out of the fire and got most of the ashes off and then proceeded to cut it open. And when they were just in the act of cutting it open, suddenly there's a voice. "Give me some food. I'm hungry." And they looked up and there was the woman right there, just suddenly. And so Ao'a said, Ao'a rather, that was her name, she said, "Go get your own food. Have your grandchildren give you some food. This is our food. We've got this to eat and we're hungry. We don't need to be giving food to strangers." But the other girl, Lilo Lilo, said, "Just sit down there, right over there, Tutu." Tutu is a kind of a polite word for an older woman, can mean grandmother. Okay, just sit down over there. You could use it for grandfather also, but fortunately, people aren't doing that to me yet. I'm still uncle, thank goodness. Okay. So anyway, so she gets the woman to sit down over there, and she prepares, cuts open the breadfruit, gives her a nice big slice, puts it on a tea leaf, and it's still hot, but she hands it to the woman. And then Ao'a is not very happy about this. But so they cut up still, they start to eat, and they're letting it cool and kind of blowing on it, but the woman just takes it and gobbles it right up. And so after the girls have something to eat, Lilo Lilo cuts another slice, and Ao'a says, "Oh, no, not another one. Come on, this is not what we intended. This is for us." Nevertheless, Lilo Lilo gets up and she gives the old woman, another slice. And then they finish up the breadfruit. And the old woman just gets up and she looks at Lilo Lilo right in her eye and she says, "You've been well trained." Then she turns around and walks away. Then Lilo Lilo said, "What a strange woman." And Ao'a says, "Crazy woman, you mean?" Okay. Anybody who acts like that is crazy. We've got no business giving breadfruit to crazy people. And then the woman's not far away, almost. She went on up the trail, and she turns around, looks again at Lilo Lilo, and she said, there are going to be some strange happenings on the mountain very soon. She says, tell your family, she points at Lilo Lilo, she says, tell your family to hang bits of tapa cloth. Tapa cloth is the kind of cloth made from bark that the Hawaiians used to use for clothing. So he says, hang some pieces of tapa cloth on the trees around your home. And then and then she takes off. That was all. Oh, she says, and you'll be safe. That's the last thing she said. Well, you know, Ah just laughs at her, but after they're finished, they go home. Lilo Lilo talks to her grandmother, and she says, Grandmother, the strangest thing happened today. There was this woman who came, old woman, and she wanted some breadfruit, so I gave her some. And her mother said, that's good. Glad you did that. And I hope you gave her as much as she wanted. So, oh, yes, sure I did. But the thing is, then she had this strange thing to say. She said there's going to be strange happenings on the mountain. She said for me to tell you to hang tapa cloth all around the house. And she said if we did that, we'd be safe. And then her mother really looks startled. And she says, well, we're going to obey her immediately because that was Pele. And oh, okay, so they do this. And a couple days later, it was about 7 days later, because the old lady told her to hang the stuff there for 10 days. Okay. 7 days later, somebody comes running and says, Mauna Loa is erupting, and the lava is heading this way. And so people go around screaming, no one knowing what to do. And but Lilo Lilo's mother said, oh, it's okay. We're going to stay here. We're safe. Other people started to put out offerings for Pele. Her mother said, it's too late for that. We've already done our offering, our best offering. And so finally the lava's coming, and it's burning over all the houses of the neighbors and heads toward their house. Lilo Lilo went, let's run, Grandma, come on. Mom. And so she says, nope, we're going to be safe. Just stay here. And so she did, and they stayed there right by their house. And the lava came up, split into two, went around them, and they were not harmed at all. Because they did the right thing at the right time, with no regrets of the past and no worries of the future. Pipiholo ke ka'au. So goes the story. All right. Now, with the story told, we'll get into the teaching. The teaching is about the benefits of being present. And we're going to talk about some of those and different ways in which you can learn how to be in the present. And I've got my notes. The story came through fine, but some of the notes, I think, we'll see what we get here. Okay. All right. First, we have to understand, what do we mean by being present? Okay? Because some people don't really know what that means, but what it really means is being here physically, emotionally, and mentally engaged in what's going on and with full involvement or awareness in what you're doing. And going on right now. Now, right now is another thing that we're going to have to define, because right now can vary. It can be this minute, this hour, this day, this week, this month, depending on what you're doing, what's going on, and how long it takes. That can all be in the present moment, okay? Or in the present, let's just say present, okay? So, the distinction between being present and not being present, we'll understand a little better if we know this. It has to do whether you're spending more time in your head or more time experiencing. And a lot of people don't think that they're being present when what they're doing is talking about the present in their head. And so they think they're being really aware, and they're saying, well, I wonder if this person really likes me. Am I doing the right thing? Is this the way to go? And they keep this narration going on, which is not being present. Okay? They're separating themselves from the experience by this narration that's going on. So the experience is the experience with all your senses. But there's no hard and fast rule, okay? But a rule of thumb that we can use is you're not being present when you lose awareness of what's going on and what you're doing. So if I'm driving a car, which I do a lot, and because I'm so familiar with the driving and I'm so familiar with the route that I can think about all kinds of stuff. I can do meditations, I can fantasize, I can listen to the radio, and I don't hardly even aware, sometimes not aware of where I am and what's going on and how far I've gone. Okay? Whenever we're doing something routine and familiar, this can happen. Of course, when I'm driving, sometimes I go past where I want to turn and I end up where I don't want to be, but that's one of the non-benefits of not being present. But still, that's how you can tell. Okay? That's the difference, being aware of where you are and what's going on, okay, and what you're doing. All right. On the other hand, when I'm doing something that requires conscious awareness and decision making, and a good example for me is skiing. For others it could be tennis, it could be surfing, it could be lots of different things. When I'm doing something like that, I'd better stay out of my head and into my body and in the experience with awareness of what's going on, or I won't be skiing very long. Okay? It's just the nature of some kinds of things that require that total presence, okay, in order to be effective at them. Okay? The point here, though, is, well, I'm say one more thing, Cher. When I'm writing a book, I'm in and out. I'm about half and half, thinking about the book and what I'm going to write and what's going on and what's going to come, and putting it down and checking for spelling. Okay? The main point I'm making here is that there's nothing wrong with not being present all the time. Because some people think that, well, I'm not doing it right, or I'm not living right, or this isn't good because I'm thinking. No, not at all. That's part of the way we operate as human beings. But the problem only comes when we're away from here most of the time or more of the time than we're present. Okay? That's when things start to go wrong, especially when we're away thinking about stuff that's happened that we don't like, thinking about stuff that might happen that we don't like. That not only gets you out of the present, it gets you into a lot of stress. And so much stress that it can interfere with your memory, your skills. It can interfere with your activity, your ability to act and react, if we spend too much time doing that. Okay? The more present you are, the more aware you are of your surroundings. The more, not only your surroundings, but the people in those surroundings. Being present gives you feedback. This is really useful if you're teaching, for example. Okay? And I'm trying to spend most of my time here teaching, back to the notes and teaching again. But for instance, very helpful to know when your audience is sleeping, when they're leaving, when they're getting ready to throw tomatoes at you. Okay? There are speakers who are breadfruit, yeah. But there are speakers who are clueless. Okay? I had a lot of them in college. Okay? Okay? Just straight saying what they're doing and not aware of anything. Okay? The more present you are, the more your body relaxes. This is an interesting phenomenon. This is just because so much of our attention comes from what I was talking about before, thinking of the past, or regretting it, or not liking it, and worrying about the future. Okay? That really tenses up your body. So the more present you are, the more your body immediately begins to relax, because probably 99% of the time, nothing dangerous is going on. Okay? Most present moments are pretty peaceful. And if any of you have been in the military, you know that too. Okay? Most of the time it's waiting. Okay? And there are these bursts of activity, but there's an awful lot of nothing happening. So your body relaxes if you pay attention and if you're really, really there in that moment. When the kinds of thoughts that give stress are reduced by present awareness, especially in a peaceful environment, the more your body lets go of that tension automatically. I remember a story about a Zen monk. I think he was a Taoist monk. But for some reason, and it can happen to anybody, he got into such a body tension state that he had a form of cancer. And there was a kind that couldn't be treated. So what he told his disciple, he says, take him to a garden. There was this garden that he knew and loved, and put him downwind. And he meditated every day in that garden for about a month. And of course, he meditated in a way, and I'll teach you some of these things, a way of being fully present and aware of the flowers and aware of the beauty and aware of the smell and aware of the wind. And at the end of that time, his cancer was gone. Because cancer is a stress disease. And him, because he knew how to do this, he got so fully in the present that there was no more tension. And when there was no more tension, the body was able to heal itself. Okay? So that's kind of a maximum kind of thing. The more present you are, the more energy you have. And that's because of the tension thing, of course. But not only because of that, but because it allows you to put more attention on energizing activities. What do we mean by that? Deeper breathing is one. You'd be amazed how many people feel bad, have tension, have aches and pains, feel tired, only because they're breathing too shallow. And because this isn't taught a lot in our ordinary society, it never occurs to them to start breathing more deeply. And it's amazing how often just that can bring you back into energy and feeling good. Sometimes you have to do other stuff, but the number of times breathing works is amazing. Because that's the thing that's most important for our energy, because that's the thing we can do without the least. Okay? We can go without food for quite a while. We can go without water for a few days. Breathing doesn't work that well. Okay? Non-breathing. And so that's just something to think about. When we're more present, we can breathe more deeply and we can energize our bodies better. Now, also physical movement. Okay? More being in present with the physical movement. That's used in a lot of therapy today, actually. That does it also. Some other things. Eating consciously. Drinking whatever consciously. For the taste and for the energy. Instead of mindlessly. Sitting there in front of the... I know this because I've done it. You're sitting there in front of the television, you're watching a great program, and you're emptying a box of crackers or chips. You're just automatically throwing them in the mouth. It's got nothing to do with taste or hunger or anything else like that. Okay? That's not very good. Not very good for you. You can also, when you're fully present, take advantage of environmental sources of energy. Now, not everybody believes in this, but those of us who do know how valuable it can be. When you can find a power spot, when you can find a powerful tree to hug, when you can know which part of a house has the most energy and sit there for a while. Why, You have to be consciously present to be able to be aware of that and do that effectively. You know, the more present you are, the more connection you have with other people. There are a lot of people who are so not present they wouldn't notice whether you were present or not, okay? But for those who are, when your mind is elsewhere, no matter how nice you smile, no matter if you make the right moves and gestures, no matter if you say aha at the right moment, they can feel that you're not there. You feel colder. Literally, it's almost like a temperature thing. You feel more distant, even if you're looking right at them with vacant eyes. Okay? People can feel that. When you become really fully present, they can also feel that and have a whole different sense of you and find a greater ability to communicate on all levels. So being more present in that way can also, it's a major factor in good relationships. The more present you are, also, the more confident you are. Confident for a good reason. You're able to, the easier it is to recall stuff when you're more present. Now, you're going to remember that people don't think of this very often, but all your skills and all your talents and all your abilities are based on memory. And the less present you are, the less access you have to that available memory. If you're totally non-present, you can forget your name. Okay? So the more present you are, the more this ability becomes part of you and what's available for you as well. You can also change your life patterns and change your life habits and change your life rules and do things, change things that aren't working well. You can also give good directions to your body because your body's always present. And if you're present with your mind, with your body, I don't know how many of you actually do this, but this is one of the best things that you can do for good health and everything. Tell your body what you want it to do when you're in that state. And your body will do its very best to go along with you. One of the things we teach people if they're going for surgery or they're going to take some medicine, get present, tell your body how you want it to accept that medicine, what you want to do with it, and how to stay relaxed through it to reduce or eliminate the side effects. And we've had people go through cancer treatments with radiation and chemotherapy with no side effects. It only happens if you know how to be present and talk to your body. If you talk to your body from a distance, it doesn't work so well. But really be with it. That's when that kind of thing works well, no matter what it is you're doing. You can heal yourself from injuries far faster by getting into that state and tell your body how you want it to heal and mend that bone and fix those nerves and get rid of that pain. 100% of the time? Probably not. Take some practice to be able to get into that state with your body if you're not used to it. But it has an amazing effect. Even some effect is going to be good. Now the easiest way, I mentioned all these different kinds of things. An easy way to get into the present moment, real simple. Look at stuff, listen to stuff, and touch stuff. When we do some meditations sometimes, we take people into deep places, but I get them back out without any wooziness or without any spaciness whatsoever because I say, all right, come back, move your fingers and toes. Bam, they're back. Okay? This is how you get into the present the easiest way. Look, hear, and touch. Now, another thing that you can do, which is really good for getting into the present moment and awareness, is be aware of good things in the present and acknowledge them. You have to use words, so it's not 100%, but it's really, really good. Get you about 80% in the present moment when you say, wow, that's a beautiful tree. Love the way that flower looks. What, what a nice hairdo, or what a nice clothes that person has, or something, right, that you can admire, appreciate in the present moment will help get you into the present moment. Now, there's an extension to the present moment. We can call it being fully present. Now, that's nice. What does that mean? It's actually a technique for reducing stress and reducing the mind chatter, and to a minimum, and for it can enrich your life in many kinds of ways. I mentioned the monk that did that. How can I put it this way? It's a technique that some people believe we should be in all the time, but I don't agree with that. One reason I don't agree is nobody's going to take away my fantasies, okay? And I use them creatively, so, we can do good stuff not being present as long as we don't stay there. So don't worry about being in it all the time. Nevertheless, if you want to go further with it, you don't do this, you master this by, you've mastered it when you can do it without any thinking. Pure experience. Where it's not by suppressing thoughts. Some people try to do some meditations of suppressing thoughts. The only way you can suppress thoughts that your body can help you with is by tension. It can suppress pain, it can suppress thoughts, it can suppress any kind of awareness, but it does that by increasing tension. And that's not what you want. You do it by increasing awareness. Okay? Now, it takes practice to do this, but to get down to the point where you've got thinking to a minimum, I'm going to give you some ways of doing that. One way is to be aware of beauty in your environment. Now, you can begin by describing it to yourself. We call it narration. And that'll help get you focused, but you got to give up the narration until you can have pure experience, feeling experience, emotional experience. Okay? So beauty is really good. Another one is, let me give you a different way to ease up that focus. When you're being aware of beauty, be aware of movement. See, if you try to have a static awareness, your mind's going to trip out. So being aware of movement will help keep you focused. Be aware of the movement of the wind, what the wind does to the trees and things. Be aware of the movement of animals. Be aware of the movement of waves. Right? Now the thing is, the more routine it becomes, some people use this as a way to get out of the present moment, into a trance state. Nothing wrong with that, but if we're trying to get into the present moment, you've got to keep movement and keep interest with the conscious mind. Susan mentioned a little bit earlier about the hula, the Hawaiian form of dance, which is so totally in the present moment. And you've probably heard that shamans, some places in the world, will use drumming as a way to, that monotonous sound, as a way to get into a trance state. But you might be surprised to learn that it's not very many kinds of shamans that do that. Hawaiians, as in general, just in the music, use it to increase presence. Mongolians, they don't use it, they use drumming a lot, but the drumming is not what gets them into the trance state. They just go into the trance state. The drumming for them is the sound of the horse that they're riding in the spirit world. And it energizes the horse, it energizes the experience. Okay? In West Africa, some of the greatest drummers in the world don't drum to go into trance. In fact, trance would mess it up. I recall one time being present at a master drummer in Ghana, and he had 12 drummers in his troupe, and he sat there with the one drum, and he would start a rhythm, and then one particular person would take up that rhythm. When he knew the person had the rhythm, he'd do a different rhythm and another person would take it until he had 12 rhythms going, and then he did a 13th. And then while he's drumming, every once in a while he's checking on the other rhythms to make sure they're still on track. Well, you don't trance out in something like that. That gets you into the present moment like skiing does, okay? Or something else like that, see? So drumming can be used one way or the other, just to let you know that. Another way, be aware of patterns. This is a really interesting thing, to be aware of patterns in your environment. That could be man-made patterns like the ones along the wall here. It could be leaf patterns, tree-shaped patterns. That's a fascinating thing, okay? So you can recognize trees by their shape. There's lots of different kinds of patterns. In fact, you can do this with wave patterns, not just watching the waves for their movement, but waves have a multitude, almost an infinite number of patterns that you can be aware of. So that's another way to get really deeply into the present moment. And while you're doing all this, be aware of the sensations of your body. That's a good one too. A lot of people do this with breathing, but you know, a lot of stuff going on besides breathing. And be aware of your movement and position, and this kind of exercise can be done while you're walking, sitting, standing, lying down, doesn't matter. But you got to feel free as the impulse comes to change your breathing, to shift your body, to move differently, to keep the focus and maintain that in the present moment. Now, an interesting extension of body awareness, let's get a little slightly advanced, is to extend your senses, and you may start with imagination, but you extend your senses to feel things at a distance, to feel trees, to feel leaves, to feel water. That's a really, really interesting experience, but it's, again, one to get deeper into the present moment. If you want an extreme challenge, I'm not saying you have to do this, but it's an extreme challenge, especially in our society. Look at signs without reading them. Boy, that's tough. Unless you don't know how to read, that's okay. But boy, you try that one, to be able just to look at signs just by seeing color and shape. I didn't mention color. Color's another one. You can be aware of colors and gradually move from one color to another while you're focusing. And when you get tired of doing any of this, go back to your normal way of thinking, any way you choose. Don't feel bad about it. You're not doing anything wrong. But you might remember, when it's useful, to be more present. Okay? Pau ka'olelo. The tale is told. Do we have any questions or comments?
Just one thing real quick. You say the Hawaiians use the drum to be present, or kind of either way, I guess?
Kind of increase presence.
Increase presence, that's
right.
what I thought.
Same with the dancing. The dancing, never trance dancing. There's a variation, however. The dancer doesn't go into trance, but the dancer may channel a spirit like Pele or something in the dance. It's almost like, and some people have done this in martial arts, where they call it in the zone or in the flow, where the dance seems to be dancing them, okay? And yet they're fully present and aware. While some dancers are able to get into that state. Yeah, but it's still present. Yeah. Yes?
I remember the first time that I was asked by my Huna to play the drum, while he was showing something at a lecture. And I closed my eyes and started to play, and he goes, that's not the way you do it. We keep our eyes open and we watch the feet of the dancer. The dancer's listening to you, but you are watching them. It's awareness in the full present moment.
That's right. The other thing to notice, besides just being aware if you're teaching, okay, is that if you are teaching and you close your eyes, you're getting out of the present moment, and automatically your voice goes down and the people can't even hear you. Yes, all right, let's do this. Now I want you all to go, and I want you to move your left leg and then your right leg. Because you're in your head. You're away from the teacher.
To you,
Yeah.
When your eyes are closed, it's louder to you than it is.
That's right, that's right. Yes, it's louder to you when your eyes are closed. Right, but not to them.
You talked about being present in time or in our bodies and the feelings that we have in our bodies and paying attention to those. And you talked about disease and cancer and this and that and pain and a choice of being in there in the body and actually feeling and experiencing and going through it versus maybe I want to know if you know another approach of actually operating the body remotely for long periods of time while going in and out and then coming back.
Okay. Question has to do with when you're dealing with things like pain and illness and stuff like that, and I mentioned about being in it and being with it. There's even a technique we call plunging into pain, which is not fun, but works. But isn't there another way? Well, there is another way of doing it, and she mentioned going away remotely dealing with your body. Okay? And yes, of course, you can do that. And there's nothing wrong with using your mind and going elsewhere. Like some shamans will sometimes go on journeys in order to help a person heal from a different reality. Okay? So nothing wrong with that at all. But if you don't come back from the journey for a few days or a few hours okay if you're trained, but it's the staying away, which is not good. Some people do certain kinds of meditation, which is completely away from all awareness here, and they find that if they stay there a long time, when they come back, the body goes, whoa! Now the common way of thinking of that is, oh, you're slamming back into your body. Well, how can you be slamming back into your body with nothingness? Okay? Spirit's got no matter. What's actually happening is your body is undergoing a sudden relaxation because you're back finally. Because the tension was building and building and building because of your absence. So there's nothing wrong with going away and doing something and then coming back to get feedback.
It can go on for years.
What's that?
It can go on for years.
If it goes on for years, your body's going to be in a very bad state. Yeah, that is not a healthy thing to do as long as you want to stay alive and live and kicking. Okay? Not healthy.
Basically, like use all when appropriate.
That's right. Do it when appropriate. But what I'm trying to share here is think about how often you're present and try being more present, more often. There are benefits to that. Okay. Yeah.
A good example in Hawaiian mythology is Pele and her love for the dream state. She loved to go on dream journeys, but she also tell her baby sisters, don't let me stay there too long.
Exactly.
You have to wake me up if I'm too into it to remember to come back.
That's part of the Pele legend. Yeah, that's a very good example. Here's another one, share. It's a Hawaiian proverb. There's a Hawaiian proverb about the benefits of being present. E pane'e, kawa'a oi, moe ka'ale. And that means, get the canoes moving while the waves are at rest. Okay? In other words, do it now. Okay.
Can you show the Dynamine Technique?
Sure. I'm sorry, the way I'm smiling is because my videographer has reminded me not to pound my chest too hard because it messes up the voice. Okay? Sure. Okay, let's demonstrate the Dynamine Technique. We have some time for that. This is good. Is there anybody who has any kind of pain right now? Okay. Would you like to do Dynamine?
I'll do it, or what are
Let's
you doing?
come on up. We'll try it out.
Can I take this?
Yeah, sure. Or it's all right.
Okay.
Okay. Now, where's the pain?
Practically everywhere but that.
In your
Mostly.
along the sides of your back or in the lower
It's
back?
The upper strap, and then sometimes it'll move around here and here.
How about right now?
Yeah, right now it's hurting over here.
Okay, lower back we can
Yeah.
say?
Yes.
Mostly on the right side?
Yes.
Okay, good. And how long have you had that pain right there?
since May 1st.
Okay. You can set that down if you want to, because we're going to be using your hands. Okay. Bring your hands together. And I want to ask you to make a statement. Okay. There is pain in my lower back on the right side.
There is pain in my lower back on the right-hand side.
And that can change.
And that can change.
I want that pain to go away.
I want that pain to go away.
Now, with either hand, tap your chest, center of your chest, 7 times. Now, each hand, right there,
Oh, yeah.
the back of your neck.
Yeah.
Hands together. Inhale with your attention above your head. Exhale below your feet. Check the pain. Any difference?
Yes, it's not as tight at all.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. Give her a hand. That's what the process looks like. Okay? And that's what the process does. Sometimes, for some people, you have to do more. That was called 1 round. So sometimes you have to do more than 1 round, because the way the kind of a working theory that we use, stress rather, tension accumulates in layers. And so sometimes you have to clear away different layers, and sometimes it seems like the pain moves when actually it's a different layer with the focus in a different location. And so then we clear that layer. Okay? Sometimes you come to a place where we just worked with the pain directly, and that was good. That's the easiest, fastest way when it works. Sometimes the pain is a result of emotional tension, where a person is either afraid of something or angry about something. Now, you know when that's the case, because if you try to work with it directly, you get no change at all. Then you have to assume that there's anger. And so then what we usually do with that, if there were anger in the lower, if it were the lower back, we would say, my lower back is angry about something. And that can change. The statement is there to help focus. And then we do the tapping and the breathing. Okay? Don't have to tap. Any kind of stimulation of those points will produce the same effect. Okay? So we've experimented a lot of different things. It really doesn't matter. One real good thing is humming. Touch the point and hum. That gives a nice energy vibration through your whole body. Works very well. Okay? Good. Any questions about that? Okay, well then, everybody, yes?
So if you are presenting and you feel a member or members in your audience are not being present, other than maybe music, are there any other techniques you can recommend to kind of bring them back?
Sure, that's a good question. If you're teaching, like I had mentioned before, and the audience does not seem to be with you, there's 2 very important things to note. Different people focus in different ways. It took me a while as a teacher to learn this, until I could let people sleep. It looked like they're sleeping, but they weren't, on the ground. If there were children in the audience, I'd let them roll under the chairs, as long as they didn't make too much noise. People could look away. When I started, I thought, it's not working unless everybody's focused on me, okay? Well, a lot of people don't listen that way. So you have to be tolerant about that, okay? The other thing is, you have to introduce, while you're talking, you have to introduce some movement, okay? Because if you're up here like a statue, people are just gonna doze off or think about their shopping list or something else, okay? So part of what helps keep attention, and bring it back is when you're moving, when you're making gestures. When I teach, like I'm teaching a workshop, where I'm up here for quite a while, I'll be walking back and forth all the time, okay? I'll be doing stuff. Sometimes I'll notice that everybody seems to be settling down. I say, okay, let's have a break. But I don't want to have a total break. So I'll have everybody stand up in place, and we'll do what I call the shaman bounce. This is the shaman bounce. You're bouncing on the ball of your foot, and we do this for about 20 seconds. And then I have them feel their body, and people can feel movement, energy. And they sit down and they're re-energized. Okay? Okay. Yeah. Everybody here is fine right now. Okay?